Hello everyone, my name is Holden Hardman, this is my lovely wife Jen, and we just got back from our trip to Las Vegas. Alright, okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Should I put the keys in here? We just checked in. When we got to the room, we didn't have our keys in here.
Oh my gosh, that's a missing step. We might have dropped it.
I don't know. We dropped both of them, but that's all right. Thank you. A lot of it more intensely, but we kind of were just enjoying ourselves too much. And a lot of what we did was see a lot of shows which we weren't allowed to film any part of anyway. So we did film some of it, but we wanted to just sort of give a review of kind of what we did. When we first went to Vegas, we really didn't do a whole lot there. It was kind of just like a weekend getaway. So we saw one of the Cirque du Soleil shows, and we like loved it. It's like the best show we've ever seen.
Best show I've ever seen in my entire life.
And so we were like, oh, if we come to Vegas next time, we're gonna have to hit up a few more shows. So we watched Love the Beatles, Cirque du Soleil. We watched Ka by Cirque du Soleil. And we watched Criss Angel's Mindfreak. I was a fan of magic stuff in that period of time anyway. I was big into David Blaine. Criss Angel was a little bit more punky kind of than David Blaine, which I thought was more like to the point.
I don't have any reference for Criss Angel. I knew that he was a magician, but I had never seen him or any of his shows. So I didn't know anything about him. So when Holden was like, he has a magic show in Vegas, we should go see it. I was like, oh, sure, great. I wasn't too impressed, honestly. It wasn't what I was expecting, I guess. The first 15 minutes of the show is just a list of his accolades and like how he's like the #1 magician, like just giving himself a huge pat on the back. So that kind of turned me off because I was like, well, if you are all those things, it's probably not a great idea to just like brag about it and that's like the start of your show. I don't know, it could just be me, but.
No, I hear you. So I really enjoyed the show. I liked it a lot, but I do agree that there probably could have been a little bit more magic.
I didn't know whether I was watching a rock concert or a cancer fundraiser or him just talking about random things, I guess. A dating show. Like for me, it veered off into a lot of different areas that I just wasn't expecting. I was expecting more magic, honestly.
The stuff that they did show, the magic-wise, I thought was great. We got to see him do the whole like upside down, straight jacket thing and his signature like levitation thing, which is really cool because he's like floating around and you can't see any wires or anything. And then they put him into this like enclosed glass circle thing and he's like spinning around in that.
It's like a hamster cage.
Yeah, because you're like, okay, well, there's no wires above him because he's going under stuff, so there must be wires like connected to his side, but then that can't be it because he's going in this thing. And then they lower him into this enclosed circular thing, so there can't be any wires anywhere around. You could tell by the movements that there's some sort of harness or some sort of wiring, but you can't see them. And I don't know, like, technically, like the technicality of how they did it. So, I mean, it was super impressive to see. Because we saw Oh by Cirque du Soleil the last time we were there, we wanted to see more of those. So the next show that we saw was Love the Beatles by Cirque du Soleil, which was like a Beatles themed Cirque du Soleil show. I enjoyed it, not as much as you did.
I really enjoyed it. I honestly think at this point, because I've seen 3 Cirque du Soleil shows, I would love any of their shows, no matter like what it's about, because I think they're so creative. It felt for me more energized. I think it was because they were playing the Beatles music, and how the heck can you not just be all about it when they're playing some of the greatest music to ever be created. It didn't have as much acrobats as O and Ka did.
I agree, there wasn't as many acrobatics, and it was a lot more dancing. It was still super entertaining, and I love the Beatles. Probably didn't help me that the people sitting next to me acted like they were a part of the show. They were just like screaming like at the top of the whole time, but it was good. And then the final show we saw was Ka. Ka was more like story focused. I go back and forth between whether I liked O or Ka more, because I have yet to see a bad Cirque du Soleil show. If you've never seen a Cirque du Soleil show in your life, honestly, it's worth going to Vegas just to catch
really
like
is.
any of them, because Ka did some stuff that I've just never seen before. And that's hard to say, like, I think in a modern day setting.
Yeah, and when we saw O, it was our first show, so we didn't really care about like the seats. I guess what would be considered the not so great seats, but we still got a great view of everything that was happening. And then with Ka and the Beatles, we got more of an upfront, and we had actually commented, we wish that we had gotten
Maybe a little higher up.
Yeah, because we thought that it was like a better view. I understand like the concept of people wanting to be like, almost be able to touch them.
Cool. They're shooting like bow and arrows at. I was actually scared about that. I was like, those must be like fake arrows or something, because if they screw that up, they're gonna kill somebody on stage or they're gonna kill an audience member.
I thought they popped up like the poles on the screen.
So they did both. So they were actually shooting arrows at one point. It was actual people, and they had machines that were shooting out arrows to make it just like a volley. But at one point they were shooting at the stage, and then they had these mechanisms that would like pull out of the stage so that they could grab them. Yeah, and there was a lot of like acrobats, obviously, in Ka, and I looked over at Holden because there was this one act with, it was a male and a female, and the male was completely, you know, they're like hundreds of feet up, and he's like supporting her by like just one arm, or her arm is like around his head, and that's the only thing. And they didn't have, I don't think that one had that didn't have safety
harness.
harnesses.
So I'm looking over at Holden. Holden's like,
well, they were doing, yeah, cause that's how you know it's like, oh, you know, like, oh, is he gonna trip? One of them was like, it was her foot like hooked around his neck, no safety harness, and they're just like floating around. And I'm just like,
yeah,
y'all good up there?
But it was so fantastic.
With any of the show, like I'd have no clue what the story was for O at all. I have no clue what happened.
Yeah.
Ka had more of a, I guess, followable storyline. It still was, because they're not speaking in it, you know, they're making little noise, it's all visuals. And then the last thing, we ate at a couple of Gordon Ramsay's restaurants like we did before. I had to get some beef Wellingtons. We chilled for the most part. We didn't explore a ton, you know. When we went to the Gordon Ramsay restaurant, we had just said, hey, can we please get a booth? As we're walking, we're thinking like, oh, they're gonna put us in this like little corner where it's like a two-person table. And the lady's like, we're gonna put you at one of the most requested tables. And I'm like, oh, cool. And it turned out to be the chef's table. Yeah, they sat us at the chef table for some reason. Yeah. So that was cool. Yeah, it's definitely like a treat, maybe once or twice a year, because his food is fairly pricey. Yeah, it's expensive. As somebody who doesn't go to Vegas a whole lot, for me, the shows are absolutely phenomenal. But that's it. We just wanted to share some of our adventure. I know we didn't film a lot, but we still wanted to tell you all about it. So it was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate it. We'll catch you in the next video. Take care, everyone. Corey Harrison from Pawn Stars was here at the airport. I saw him, recognized him, and I wanted.
So cute. He got so bashful.
I'm not even like a huge fan of Pawn Stars, but I'm like aware enough of it. But I was too afraid to ask for a picture. I want to get a picture with him. He like walked like literally right by me, and I was like, no, I can't do it. I can't. So anyway, we saw him at the Las Vegas airport, which is pretty cool. He's actually about to walk behind me, but I'm too scared. Too scared. Let me see if I can get it. Oh, there he goes. The to me. I see you. I see you, big hoss.